Welcome to PHP Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're on episode 226. It's a lot of episodes.
It's a lot of episodes.
And Mike and I were just talking a minute ago about how sometimes we wonder if we're repeating stuff, right? Because, I mean, there's a lot to know about reselling, but there's a lot of the same themes, same ideas, same ways to make things happen. But thought I'd bring back an episode kind of like what we did before, but different with new insights, called My eBay Store is Dead.
Oh, no. Can we revive
Is that a good title?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Is your eBay store dead?
It's not dead.
Oh.
So I wanted to talk
So
about...
you're lying? This was
No. But no, it is clickbait. Yes. Clickbait. Yes. And the reason being is because I want to help a lot of people that I can. And again, everybody has their own way of doing things. This is not the ultimate authority. This is what I went through. And I can say through experience, it worked. And so sometimes, you can go into certain websites and you can go on the eBay seller community pages, which are, eBay's website, and you can go down a rabbit hole of darkness and find about how much eBay is terrible and eBay's throttling everybody and eBay stores are dead and they're not making sales because of eBay. When the reality is, it's probably because of them.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good mix, right? Okay. So you're gonna have people who
you're taking the middle of the road.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to be snaky by doing that, but there are gonna be probably 80% of the time, I don't know, I'm throwing random numbers out there. Don't take my numbers to mean anything.
Then full data analysis.
So probably 80% of the time it's going to be mistakes that we make, but there are legitimate times when somebody is experiencing problems. Like I think right now is a good example of a lot of people are noticing slowdowns with eBay. And again, some of the theories are, is it because we're being punished for the item specifics, the recommendations, and or is it maybe not necessarily that they're like intentionally punishing you, but their algorithm is trying to boost that. And so the side effect of that is you're getting punished, maybe if you don't have those done. So there are going to be times where certain changes are going to impact you. But we always say on Pure Hustle Podcast, control the things you can control and you can't do anything about the rest, right? As long as you are controlling the areas in your life, the areas in your business that you can control, then yeah, there's going to be times when you lose because of something that was quote unquote unfair. But that's going to be sometimes, right? Most of the time, there are things that are in your control that you can do something about. And so that's what we want to talk about today is, what do you do when your eBay store is dead?
Yeah, and so my eBay store, after going all in on Amazon for 3 months, was dead. And again, it's strange that it was dead because I have over 2,000 items. And I literally was having days where I only sold one. Like one. Out of the 2,000 plus, one item. And that's not good. That wasn't great. So I had to change things. I had to adapt. And I shared this in previous podcasts. And so one of the first things I wanted to talk about is you probably need to audit yourself. Like,
ooh, I like that. That's a good phrase. We should put that on a t-shirt. Audit yourself.
I'm telling you, t-shirt club. All right. And so when I said audit, so I broke that down into 3 areas and then we got some other stuff to talk about. But the idea is auditing, what are your practices? What's your inventory and what are your policies? All right, so your practices is just shipping speed, just basic things. Like, are you different than the competition, right? Is your handling still 1 day? Have you changed it up?
Yeah, 1 day.
Okay, 1 day, right? And so when you first get started, and it's strange because eBay sets you up with 3-day handling. I know this because with my son, we started his eBay store, and I noticed it said 3-day handling. And I'm like, wow, 3 days.
Yeah, even going to 1 day was a little bit scary for us at first, right? Because it's the pressure of, wait, I have to get this out like right away. And with 3 day, maybe I get 90% of the items out same or next day anyways, but at least I've got that buffer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're competing with somebody and your prices are comparable and your pictures are comparable, people are going to go with the fastest shipping.
Yeah. And so this doesn't mean that you have to go same day. Like I do same day. And I have a cutoff point. My cutoff time is 1 p.m. If people put in orders by 1 p.m., I'll send it out the same day. Because I have about 3.5 hours to pack stuff and drop it off at the post office or FedEx or UPS or whatever it is. But at the same time, you have to work in the model that you have, right? So if, you're like Mike and you're working full time, maybe you need to do it 2 days, maybe 1 day, but it has to be something that you're consistent and you're quick about it. Because I'm telling you, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but the algorithm matters. It does track when you pack things, when you scan the label at the post office, and when it's finally going. Because I've always noticed, and I've said this on Saturdays, when I drop stuff off at about 4 p.m., because the pickup's at 4 p.m., so about 3:58, within 20, 30 minutes, I'll get a cha-ching, whether it's, an offer, whether it's, somebody accepting a send offer from earlier. Somehow things get triggered, and I've experimented, and it's not 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me that sounds like
astrology.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like you've got tinfoil hat on, because
nice.
Okay, it's true, it's possible, and I do think that if your store has,
I think it's more the norm than the exception.
Well, I think that if your store has better metrics overall, right, shipping speed, all those things, it's gonna help you to an extent, but I don't know how much it's that moment specific as it is like aggregate. So if you consistently have good shipping time, you're probably better off in the algorithm. Whereas like, USPS scanned something, I don't think eBay's like, all right, now quickly, let's get his stuff up to the top. Because it might just be that Fridays or Saturdays, whatever day you said, at a certain time frame, that's the time people are buying, right? So whether or not you brought something to the USPS store that day, that might have been about the time when people would be buying.
All the Saturday shippers, comment below. Do you find that to be true?
But if you're shipping every Saturday, then it's going to...
No, but do you find it to be true like the days that you don't ship on Saturdays? Let's say you're not shipping anything on Saturdays. Because there's some days like I'm busy and I won't ship, and then I won't have any more sales for the rest of the Saturday. So I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof. I'm saying it's 60-40.
Yeah, and the problem is it's a small sample size, and we can go off of
it's just Orlando's anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, we can go off of anecdotal evidence for what it's worth, and I think it is valuable if it's working and it makes you feel better. But the hard part is you can't always say like this is the direct causation or correlation here.
I agree with you, but I think it's always better to ship out on Saturdays over the weekend than wait till Monday.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. I do think that having consistently, and I guess the point I'm trying to make is because we don't know, because some people might say the exact opposite and have the opposite experience where, it doesn't matter whether I ship or my stuff actually goes down. Who knows, right? So the best way to look at it is what is your store over time like? If you are consistently getting items out on time or you're consistently getting them out early, you're probably going to be doing better in eBay's algorithm. And so I wouldn't worry about like a one day thing are you now down back at the bottom? Now you're an F-rated store as far as eBay is concerned. Like you're going to have hit or miss days. And I think what they're looking at is probably what's your sell-through rate as a store?
But I think, and again, this is all hypothetical, but I do believe there's something to be said that eBay's not going to allow you to sell more than you can handle. And what I mean by that is I've noticed when I've had a ton of sales, as long as I get all those sales cranked out and shipped out in a decent amount of time, they just keep coming. But the moment that like one isn't out the door in time or two isn't out the door in time, things automatically begin to slow down. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that senses that, but I do believe that, it's the same with listing. Like if you keep listing, and we'll talk about this in a moment, and you keep selling and you're able to constantly get those packages out in good time, I do think the algorithm rewards you. And again, somebody's going to say, I know in the comments that, well, if you just source the right items, you're going to sell. Okay, yes, there's truth to that. But there's also truth to the fact that all this is interconnected, right? The idea that, like you said, the overall metrics matters. And that's the next point I want to talk about is make sure you don't have any customer issues that you haven't resolved. And what I mean by this, sometimes you may be out of stock on an item. And if you have an item, like let's say you had to cancel an order because you didn't have the item in stock, that will cause your store to maybe die for a moment. Okay, I've had several people DM me. I've had the scenario too where I've been out of stock. And the moment I hit that out of stock and it's it is my fault. Sales slow down to a halt. And so make sure that you resolve every single customer issue. Also had others DM us talk about that they had somebody was opening a case about a return, something they weren't happy about. They forgot to get back to them. The case closed against them. And man, that ding on that metric will kill your store. So make sure that if you have any unresolved issues, make sure you take care of them, and make sure your language is careful too. I'm not sure how much the algorithm or whatever the program is reads. I know that the program can read if you try to contact people outside of eBay before the transaction is done, because I know people have been suspended for that, unless there's manual people. I don't see eBay hiring people to look at people's messages, but there's certain keywords. And so be careful about that. And then the other thing is, look at your listings. Like, have you gotten complacent with your listings? Have you just been, listing so fast that you don't have quality pictures in there? Maybe one of the things I want to say is maybe your prices are too high. Maybe the market's changed. Have you seen some items that you used to source that used to go for good money and now it's not even worth picking up?
Yeah, there definitely is. And I mean, trends change for sure. But specifically going back to what you were saying earlier with like the look of your listing, that was the hard part. Is when I first started, I mean, I was literally taking pictures of certain things on my couch, right? And maybe I put like a sheet over, so it was like a somewhat solid background, but it definitely wasn't
But at least you were listing.
Yeah, I was listing. It wasn't an infinite white background, which is kind of what you want. And so there was definitely, I have several listings where it's like, man, I really should pull this item back out and take pictures and kind of redo it. And maybe I do use different keywords. And so I have gone back through and kind of updated some keywords. But yeah, you have to kind of weigh is it worth redoing this? But wherever you're at right now, any new things you're listing should be the best you've ever listed, as far as the descriptions, as far as the picture quality, all of those things. If you're always getting better, you should never have a period where your listings are worse. And the problem is a lot of times they get worse because, like Orlando said, you get complacent. You're trying to go quickly. And when you're looking at like a razor edge, is like sometimes all it takes is that little bit of an edge over your competition, especially if you're competing at a very similar price range. You're competing and you both have free shipping and you both have free returns. Sometimes it's the extra details. Are your pictures closer? Are they from up, or are they like as if you're looking at it, head on? We had a whole episode about pictures. That's one thing that
we had a whole episode about that.
Yeah, I think so.
That's like impressive.
Pictures of items, or at least it was a good
segment of it.
Yeah. And yeah, one of the things that you want to make sure you're doing is you're getting eye level with the items that you're taking pictures of. I can't tell you how many times I've seen pictures where it's a sweater from really far away and it's kind of like at an up angle, or an item where maybe it's a shoe and it's just the up angle. But if you can get that eye level as if you're looking directly at it, I mean, look at advertisements. Spend a couple of minutes going and looking at the magazines and advertisements. What does Amazon do? And try and copy that as much as you can, because they have spent millions of dollars in research about what lighting, angles, how close the picture should be to determine what is going to increase sales. So your stuff should constantly be getting better. Your listing should look better, and you should look back at stuff you were listing a year ago and say, man, I should redo those, but got to keep moving forward. You shouldn't be doing stuff now that's worse.
Yeah. Unless you have no choice, but you do have white background removal now. So
it helps a lot.
All right. Hey, and also this one is the one that you hear all the time is, have you been consistent in listing? So one of the reasons my eBay store was dead, I just was not listing. I listed maybe 3 to 4 items a week during Q4, and sales were still coming through because no matter what, the wave of Q4 hits, but eventually that all dies down. And so, like I said, I had those days where things were dead. And then what I ended up doing was consistently listing 20 to 25 items a day. And it took a little bit. It's not immediate, but I would say about a week later, I was getting to my consistent sales that I was used to before Q4, and things were good.
Can I tell you, this is my least favorite part of eBay?
Listing?
Not just listing, but the fact that that's what they encourage. So if you're a long tail, slow dime store, and you're like kind of limited in how many items you can store or source at a time, this is kind of the bummer, because like I like my store around 500 to 700. I mean, I could get it higher. I can get it over 1,000 if I really wanted to, but man, storage is going to be a huge issue for me. And so you might list 10 items a day in order to be triggering the algorithms to be getting sales, but you're not going to be selling 10 items a day because you're listing 10. Right? Like you might get an extra sale or 2 extra. So the question almost is like, well, what's the exit plan? Like you want to scale your business, but sometimes you scale your business to a point and then you want to just improve the type of inventory you have. But I almost feel like eBay forces you to say like, oh, now you got to get a little bigger. Now you got to get a little bigger. So I guess the alternative here would be maybe your prices are too high And even though you're slow dime, you might have to say, I need to move inventory faster so that I can list and that my listings and my sales are a little bit more comparable.
Well, yeah, and that takes us to the next point, the idea of inventory. And you're right. I mean, there's two models. There's some people, we've had Cindy from the Amazing Taste Store on our podcast, and she is team no death pile. And she actually, I think she sells more than she sources in a month. Like she sells through everything.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you'd run out of inventory if you're doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I've also heard of another guy that does auctions, and every 7 days he tries to sell everything. And if it doesn't sell, he drops it by 25%. And he does that every 7 days. And then he just keeps getting inventory and he keeps having sales. So there's different ways to do it. I will say, yes, eBay, the catch with eBay, but I think it's with every platform. I don't think there's a platform that's perfect. Every platform wants activity on their platform. Even Amazon. Amazon wants you shipping in items to FBA if you're doing FBA. Amazon wants you selling things on Merchant Fulfilled, or you're not going to get the buy box. And so all these platforms want action. Now, I will say, and we'll talk about this in another episode, but the catch with eBay with the listing and the consistency is the fact that if you have a smaller store, it's harder to sell. And we'll talk about that a little bit. I do believe unless you have hot items, if you're just thrifting and you only have a certain amount of items, it's going to be harder to get sales unless you're selling things at like rock bottom and things are flying out your store, like you said. So check your inventory too, though. I for example, I've talked about, I love Rain Spooner Hawaiian shirts, but they're not selling like they used to. I mean, they used to sell. I used to be able to sell 2 to 3 a week, usually $50 a pop, and now I might sell 1 to 2 a month. Right? So inventory has changed, right? Those of you who've been reselling for a while, you remember Ed Hardy stuff. Back in the day, we used to pick up that stuff and sell it all the time. Remember Ed Hardy?
Yep.
They were hot sellers.
Like on every lighter.
Yeah.
Like you get the Ed Hardy lighters.
I mean, there was a time that was good. I mean, we talk about old school Tommy Bahama. Tommy Bahama was good. I think maybe 5 years ago now. I'm losing track of time. And now, I mean, all the thrift stores think they're still hot sellers because he's still selling for like $20. But unless you have something really special and unique, you're not going to be able to sell it. So take a look at your inventory. Maybe it's time to pivot, right? Because maybe your store is dead because you have stuff that one time was hot and just people aren't wanting it anymore. And it's really tough to hear because if you're like me, I'm a person that's willing to have things listed for 5 years plus if needed, just because the cost is so low. And if I sell it, I'm still going to be in profit. But take a look at your inventory and then take a look at your prices that coincide with it. Right. For example, Harley Davidson t-shirts. There was a time where pretty much any Harley Davidson t-shirt that I could pick up from the 90s or 2000s, I could sell for at least $50. And then in the last 2-3 years, the market got saturated. And now I still sell them for about $30 to $50. But more often, my Harley shirts sell about $25 to $35 a piece, where before it used to be $35 to $50. And there were some I could sell up to $80. So check your prices. Maybe you haven't checked your prices in a long time and you thought at the time that you sourced it, this is how much I'm going to get for it. But maybe the time that you sourced it was a while back.
Yeah.
Have you had to change any prices?
Yeah, we've definitely gone through and changed quite a few. And kind of one of the best ways of doing this is instead of trying to think like, well, what about this trend? Is this trend over? Let me check that. Yeah. The better thing to do is to just look at how long you've had items listed. When was the listing date? Like initially, was it back in 2017? And item still hasn't sold. Maybe these are the items that you need to lower the price on, right? So just start there. So start what you've had the longest and then just do the research on those things. Instead of trying to figure out like, what about this type of shoe and then look through all your listings. Well, if they're selling or you only have them for a few months, maybe don't worry about it. But if you've got items that are 1 year, 2, 3 years and haven't sold, those are the items you should probably start with first. And I mean, I like that idea of trying to clearance out some of those things because you could end up stuck holding on to something that continues to lose value.
Oh yeah, your cash flow slows down.
Yeah, and so not only does your cash flow slow down, so you don't have that money to buy new inventory, but like you said, so Tommy Bahama or Ed Hardy or whatever it is, you might have bought it at a certain point and it was worth $50 for this shirt, and then now it's worth $30, and then now it's worth $20, and another 10 years from now it might be worth $2 or $3 a shirt. Nobody wants it. And so you actually could have made more money selling today than just continuing to hold on. So we often think of the slow dime as I'm just waiting for the big bucks later, but you might actually be losing money every month, every year that you're not selling it because that item might go down. Now, of course, kind of like the stock market, you never know.
I'm just getting flashbacks of the stock market when you're saying that.
You never know. The timing though is maybe a new movie comes out or something happens. Somebody dies who's into a company or whatever it is. And all of a sudden it shoots back up and it's like, man, I sold all those dirt cheap and now they're worth a ton of money. You'll never know those things. So you got to do the best you can. But yeah, so maybe sometimes selling now because it could lose value over time.
Yeah, agreed. And then the other thing is maybe it's time to learn another niche, right? Maybe the time has come where like you've been so consistent about sourcing one type of item, but maybe that item isn't it. Or maybe, your store, I'm not saying you have to have a garage sale type store. I find that the people that sell a lot of volume have maybe one or two niches or maybe even one. They specialize in one area and they sell and they make a lot of money. I have a variety, but I pretty much stick to the same kind of vintage gear all the time that sells for me consistently. Right. And I have repeat buyers and that's changed, but I've also pivoted, as far as like, there's moments where I've pivoted to more electronics because the prices dipped on electronics and they were easier to sell. And then when I was sick of that and, the market died, I kind of moved and I went to something else. So just try to learn something new. Maybe that will help. Maybe having different, fresh inventory. The other thing I want to say is, in my experience, having an eBay store that has lower price items and higher price items works well with the algorithm in the sense that the low price items will sell and that'll trigger more sales. And then your higher price items end up selling. So for example, I shared on Instagram last week, I picked up it was a Bose like speaker holder. It was $6. I knew it was going to sell within a day or two. So I'll pick that up because I know it's going to sell and it's going to be easy to ship. And I also know it's going to trigger more sales. And sure enough, it was one of my first sales. Other sales came after, not saying it's 100%, but it's always good to have a mix because if all you have is high end, unless you have specific buyers or people that know your store is known for that, it's going to be hard to constantly sell those things. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm willing to be wrong. So, all right. And then your policies. Okay. Now this is where people get kind of upset a little bit. So, shipping and handling. Do you offer free shipping? Do you do free shipping, Mike?
I think you ask this question almost every episode.
Do I? I just wonder.
Some items, yes. Some items, no.
Okay. All right. So free shipping, I know that it's not the same. eBay used to really push free shipping like crazy and they kind of stopped. And I get why, because things still sell even if people have to pay for shipping. But here's the thing. If you go to Terapeak, all right, on Terapeak, you can find this out. Let's say you're trying to find out, how much a pair of Vans shoes is selling for. And then you see that same pair of Vans shoes and you notice that every single one of them that sold had free shipping. And then yours is the only one that doesn't have free shipping. Chances are it's going to take a little bit longer to sell. And, I can't say it's the algorithm, but that's the way it is. Or if you have a bulky item, sometimes I'll pick up a bulky item that's, $200 and everybody else is free shipping and I charge shipping. Chances are mine's going to take longer because people love free shipping. So you got to take a look.
Is the total price the same though?
Yes.
Okay. Because I would imagine if the total price is the same, then you might as well make it free shipping. Because if you're selling something for $200 and charging $50 shipping and everybody else is charging $250 with free shipping.
Well, what I see sometimes when I look at these listings, I see, something is $200 free shipping, $200 with shipping. And
well, then, of course you're going to go with the one with free shipping.
I know,
but that means that the whoever's selling it is actually selling it for cheaper. So instead of selling,
correct.
so really, even though it's the shipping aspect to an extent, the real difference is the price. That's what a customer is looking at. Like you're looking at the total price, and so you could probably get away.
But studies show that you can sell a little bit more, something for a little bit more, as long as it's free shipping. I mean, I think eBay actually has metrics. I looked at something we talked about it a while back. But free shipping does something. Even myself, I hate it when I'm trying to find something on eBay and I find a good price and then they're shipping. And I'm like, no, I don't want to buy that. I like the feeling of free shipping where I didn't pay for the shipping, especially when you're a reseller and you know what it costs to ship and they're charging you more than it actually costs to ship. Then it's like, I don't want to spend that money. So And the other thing is, if your eBay store is dead, I think return policy plays a huge part. We say this a lot. Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still on team return policy?
Yeah.
Not free returns, right? You're not free returns yet.
Yeah. So we do 30-day return for one. I think it helps with customer trust, right? Customers are going to be more likely to buy something. And then two, it allows the seller protections. So you do not need to offer free returns in order to get the seller protections on items. eBay provides.
Well, you do have to be a top-rated seller.
Yep. So you have to be top-rated seller with 30-day returns. It doesn't have to be free returns. So we did that to get those seller protections. We feel like they're important, and we do feel like our sales went up with that. And we do have the occasional return, but even when we didn't offer returns, we still did returns. We found, because usually when we do a return, I would say, well, I shouldn't say usually. Sometimes when we do a return, it's because a customer issue. Sometimes when we do a return, it's our issue, right? Like this didn't fit. This were a woman's size 9, not a men's size 9. It's like, oh, we accidentally clicked the wrong box or something, right? That occasionally happens. So even if we didn't have free returns or 30-day returns, we still would return that, right? Or refund them. So you might as well have the option. And yeah, there's a few where customers are going to return things. But the nice thing is, by having, at least in my experience, by having it where the customer pays the return, is they're less likely to do the return unless there's a serious issue. Mm-hmm. Right? If there's a serious issue, they'll do the return. And if it's a serious enough issue, we sold them something in the electronics and it was working for us and now it doesn't work, or it starts smoking or something like that, then we're probably going to cover the shipping too. But by just not offering free returns, I feel like we get fewer just, oh, I tried the shirt on, I didn't like the way that this color matched my skin, I'm sending it back.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I do free returns and everything, and it hasn't hurt me. My return level isn't high. I will say the moment I started doing free returns, I started getting more sales than I had before when I was charging for returns. But you got to find what works for you, because if you're selling a lot of items that are hefty, for example, that heater I talked about a few weeks ago that cost about $100 to ship, and then the person was like, this isn't working, free returns is going to cost me another $100. So it's better off for me to just refund them and say, you know what, you can keep it. No, not a big deal. All right, let's talk about also missed opportunities. So this is the one that if you're a new seller, this is the hard one. The idea that you need to take every sale that comes at you unless it's super low. But even I'm a big believer, if it's even at 60%, take the offer. Because eBay very much cares about sell-through. Not saying that you have to all the time, but remember, if you're thrifting something and you paid $5 and you have it listed for $100 and somebody offers you $60 to $70, take it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I go back and forth on this because I do feel like there's value to, again, I think sell-through rate, the aggregate sell-through rate, the total sell-through rate, I think is what matters the most, as opposed to just, I took one offer today, so I'm going to get more sales today, which I think there may be some validity to that. I know a lot of people feel that way. But
I die on that mountain. But it's true.
But the problem I see is, if that's the issue, if that's the case, and you're willing to take that price for those items anyways, then you should list them for that price to start with, because you're probably going to sell it quicker.
The only reason I don't is because more often than not, I sell at the price I put it at.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
So, every once in a while, I share this all the time on Instagram, somebody gets a deal. Like I have something listed for 100 and somebody offers me 60. I'm like, slow day, I'll take it. Right. What I find is usually when you counter offer, you never hear from the person again. It's very rare. Now, if a person, you counter offer and then they counter offer back, chances are they really want that item, and then you can start the haggle process. But most of the time, I would take every single offer as long as it's 60%. And especially if your store is dead. We're talking about if your eBay store is dead. If your store's running and things are going well and you're getting the sales you want, you have a little bit of leeway. But if it's been, 2 days and you're used to having 10 or 15 sales a day and you've only had 1 or 2, you better take offers. Because it's going to help you expedite and bring more sales to the table. Again, not 100% foolproof, but I'm sure in the comments, if you want to share, you find that when you accept those offers, it just triggers others. So I'm willing to take a $40 loss on a $100 item if it means I'm going to have 3 other sales they're going to bring me another 50, 60 bucks net profit on each item. So don't miss those opportunities because you're like, hey, I'm holding on to every dollar. Sometimes it's good to get the cash flow and to keep moving. All right, markdown sales. So people ask us about this all the time. eBay, do I need an eBay store? And I used to have a number. I don't have a number anymore. I'm like, have an eBay store from the beginning as long as you have a good amount of items. I just don't know what that number is.
Yeah. Well, you can't even give a number for how many items because part of it
there's like a math cost thing, but
well, there is, but the problem is there's more variables than just simply how many items you have listed because sell-through rate's important, right? If you only have ever 50 items listed, but you're selling through them every week and you're getting 50 more, you're going to need a bigger store than if you just have 50 items. And it takes you months to sell them. So there's going to be a lot of things that are involved there. But yeah, you've got to figure out with your store, with how you're doing it. Just do the math for the next store up. If you're spending more money on listings than you are if you would just get the subscription for the store, then it's a no-brainer, get the store. But yeah, so you have a lot of options when you have stores. You get some discounts, you get you have the ability to do markdown sales, and it sounds like you do well with those. You like those?
Yeah. I mean, I run a sale all the time. There's never a day that there isn't a sale. And the moment the sale stops, I know that it stops because my sales aren't the same.
I've never done one.
You need to run it. I guarantee you'll have more sales. Even 15%. I guarantee it.
But you do 15% off
like
everything?
The guy from the Men's Warehouse.
Sure?
Was that? Everything. Yeah, everything. I mean, I think I have like 3 items that I'm holding out, but yeah, I run it. And it's interesting. I have done it where a day will pass and I'm like, man, it's so quiet. And then I'll look at my listings and I have no sales going. And so there's something to be said, even if your item, right, is the same price as others, but yours says, 15% off or a certain amount off, I find that it looks better. I mean, when I'm selling, I'm looking for people that are having sales. Now, obviously, I know better about what prices certain items should be at, but it shows people, hey, maybe they're willing to make better of a deal, right? This is the next thing I want to talk about is, are you using the best offer button? There's 2 sides to this. I know some people hate best offer because they're like, I hate haggling with people. I hate dealing with lowballers. But here's the thing. If eBay says, you'll see it all the time. Like, hey, it's on the listing. If you do a best offer, people are more likely to buy your item. It's true. They're basing this on data, right? And it's the same thing with sales. So if you show that you're having a sale, my belief is that more buyers will look at that and say, hey, you know what? This individual is willing to make a deal. I'm going to send them one offer. And chances are you'll be able to have a better conversion. At least that's been my experience in, increasing sales through the use of best offer and sales. So run a sale. Keep us updated.
Yeah. I'll do it.
If you want.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. All right. And then send offers.
Yeah, especially when people are heavy browsing.
Yes.
When you got people heavy browsing your items, you better be sending offers.
Seriously. Okay, so let's explain that because there's a lot of people here that don't know what we're talking about. So eBay send offer. I wish they were doing this years ago. Why did it take so long? We don't need to talk about that. Why does it take so long for people to pay still for items? That's for the next podcast. All right. So anyways, my son had 2 out of 2 sales.
Yeah? Is he hooked now?
Nope. You know why? No payment.
Oh, man. I feel like when you have a new store, a lot of people I know who just start a store, they get hit by scammers way more.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but it's like, anyways, this is for the next podcast. We'll see. But anyways, going back to what we were talking about, send offers. So according to eBay, and I believe this to be true, whenever an item ends up on your send offer on your app or on the desktop, the reason it's on your send offer is because 1, people are watching it, or 2, I almost said B, or 2, it's in their cart, or 3, they're doing heavy browsing. Heavy browsing is they're looking at it multiple times. I believe it's within a 15-minute window. So you'll see sometimes where you'll have a send offer and then you'll go to it hours later and then it's gone, or you hit it and it says this is no longer available. And the reason being is that person has lost interest. So I'm a big believer, especially if you're full-time, as soon as you see that best offer or that send offer, send that offer, because it'll pop right up. And if the person really wants it, they're going to take that. And if you wait too long, you might miss that. Because I used to be a big believer in waiting till the end of the night. And then that didn't work. Then I was like, oh, maybe in the morning, if I send them out in the mornings. And I did get a little bit more success, sending them out at 7 in the morning. But the best success I've had is when it pops up and somebody's looking at it and they're like, well, I can get this deal right now. They're going to buy it.
Or as soon as they start watching it. And I've noticed the same thing is true for me, even with, for instance, there was something I was going to buy and I went on their website and you sign up for their website so you can buy it. If it's not Amazon, that's the worst part is you're like, you can either check out as a guest, which, I have to put in all this information, but if I'm going to buy here more than once, I have to create an account.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you get an email. And so I've got some stuff I'm thinking about. I got it in my cart. I'm like, should I buy it or not? Next thing you know, I get an email with like 20% off coupon. I'm like, buying it right now. Boom,
Agreed.
But now I get emails every day from this company and it's like coupon after coupon after coupon. And I never buy anything else because it's like, I know I'm going to get more coupons. But man, that first coupon, that when I'm interested in that item, it was like, I better strike now. I better buy it because I'm already interested.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens with the customers is they're already thinking about it and you offer it to them on a platter, right? Whereas if I thought about it a week ago and I decided not to buy it, or I'm like, I don't have that like, I need it. So.
Yeah. And there is one myth out there that some people have said they don't like sending offers because they feel like it's going to the same person. That is not true. So eBay's already confirmed that. I remember having a discussion about that on one of their seller, I forget what it's called, but every once a month they meet with certain sellers. And I asked a question and they said, no, we have, whatever algorithm set up. So we make sure that the same person isn't being bombarded with the send offer over and over and over again. So, all right. So we got a next section, but before we get there and before we get to our hustle of the week, we need to talk about our sponsor, School Shaver, with their awesome Super Bowl commercial. So, hopefully you guys caught that on there. You can shave your head in 90 seconds.
Yeah. And the best part is, this is Skull Shaver that you've heard of as seen on Pure Hustle Podcast.
And on the Super Bowl now.
And you may have seen it on the Super Bowl, but mostly brought to you by Pure Hustle Podcast.
Yeah, that is true.
And Skull Shaver is awesome. We love it. I finally charged it for the first time after months of use. And the charge was so fast. I wanted to see how long I could go without charging it. And it went all the way down to like where it was running out. And I almost didn't think I was going to finish my head. And I'm like, I better charge this thing. And then I look back and like 10 minutes later and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like going up so fast. So a product that has good battery life. It's very effective. It works. And, I love it. It's nice and sturdy. And that's the thing too, is like craftsmanship's important. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you hold something and you're like, this feels chintzy and cheap. When you're holding a Skull Shaver in your hand, it feels solid. It feels
power.
Good. Yeah, and you have a good product, right? This is something that they've put time and energy into, and I'm proud to own. I'm proud to have it on my counter. Some things you put away. The Skull Shaver is like I can leave this out.
I see that. So go to skullshaver.com. Use our promo code PURE. That's PURE, PURE. In case you were wondering how that's spelled.
Yeah, that's just one P and then URE.
All right. Hey, also want to say thank you, all of you, for the support. We get, every once in a while, we get a few people signing up for buymeacoffee.com/pure hustle. Looking for a few more. We have a certain number that we'd like to be able to provide Pure Hustle Podcast Plus. I just thought about that today. Everything's plus.
Got it.
Right. So if we can get enough people on buymeacoffee.com/pure hustle, we can begin to introduce Pure Hustle Podcast Plus.
Yeah, our underground episodes.
There you go. So if you haven't signed up yet, just go to buymeacoffee.com/pure hustle. You can sign up for less than $1 an episode to sponsor us for the year or on a monthly basis. So check it out. Link is below. Also, if you want to check us out on social media, we're always dropping whatever we can, knowledge or just documenting what we're going through on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We're Pure Hustle Podcast. On Twitter and Clubhouse, we are Pure Hustle Cast. By the way, Clubhouse, hopefully more of you have been able to get on, been able to have some great conversation on there. Always say hi if you see us on Clubhouse. Let us know you catch the podcast. Always love hearing that. Super encouraging. And As always, you can give us a call at 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. Or shoot us an email at purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. That's purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. And by the way, appreciate all the views on YouTube. Our views are going up, and all the comments that you're leaving, which I think is playing an effect with the algorithm. So if you are listening to podcasts and you want to see what our bald mugs look like, go to Pierce Podcast on YouTube, hit that subscribe and that bell notification. And as always, thank you for all the iTunes reviews. I think we're almost at 400. I haven't looked in a while, but if you haven't had a chance yet and you've been enjoying the podcast and it's brought you value, always would appreciate it if you just went to the iTunes page for our podcast and just put in a review or just hit that 5 stars, because it will help us out a lot. I'm trying to get a final tally.
Yeah, since we're talking about algorithms.
Yes, we are at 390. We are 4 away from 400.
Oh my goodness. Will you make it in the first 400 people to have commented or to have left a review? Right? Like, think about how hipster you will be when Pure Hustle Podcast is at 4,000 reviews and you're like, I made it in the first 400. People will know that you are legit.
So I want to read one of these because they titled it the 400 Club.
Nice.
So this comes from Steven.nim. It said, I wanted to be a hipster that joined the 400 Club review.
I must have already talked about that in a previous podcast.
Yes, you have. They said, been listening for the past few weeks and I have been hooked. My job requires me to be on my feet for more than 10 hours and the podcast has helped grind those hours. Appreciate that. Glad we're able to help. I have been struggling the past few months of listing items on eBay, but listening to your podcast helped me get motivated and in high spirits, which led me to list about 10 to 15 items a day. Awesome. Just what we're talking about right now.
That's awesome.
So it said, can't wait for the 500 Club. Neither can we.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much, Steven. Appreciate the review. Just awesome. So
that's right.
All right. Just 4 away. All right. So let's get to our favorite segment here of the podcast.
Come on, hustlers. It's the freaking hustle of the week. Yeah, it's hustle time. And we're going to talk about hustles that are going to change the way
blow
you think
your mind
about reselling, because sometimes you need a little bit of like encouragement that this is doable. And our first one comes from Amy, Instagram handle Graham Girls.
So I put their other names, Amy, Abby, and Zoe, because I think they share one Instagram account.
Nice. All right. So we've got the Graham Girls. I like that. So they've been reselling on eBay since the early 2000s and picked up a pack of hefty Zoo Pals plates at a garage sale.
Do you know what those look like? Do you know what those are?
I don't think so.
So they're like plastic plates, but they're like zoo animals.
All right.
Like, so kids eat them. Like the eaters is like where you put the carrots and the peanut butter.
Yeah.
All right, just trying to visualize that here.
So open packages of 16. So picked up some of those for 99 cents and sold for $50, and sold 2 sealed packs of hefty Zoo Pals plates, picked up at 99 cents and sold for $50. Both sold on eBay. That's pretty awesome. When you can pay, a couple of bucks and turn it into 100. That's the type of, I remember almost every sale that I've had where I paid under $5 and sold it for 100 or more, right? Like those will stick with you just because, I've sold things worth more, but those things are just like, it's such a huge return on your investment, and especially for something like plates.
Well, let's not forget that I had these plates with my kids. I remember getting these plates to try to get my kids to eat vegetables or whatever. And, you put the peanut butter on one ear and you put the carrots on the other. I would never have researched these items. And that's why I love the hustle of the week, because you're always learning. All right, next we have Anthony, IG handle Anthony Ludlamp. I hope I said that right. I'm just going to spell his name out just to make sure, because I always hate it when I ruin people's names, which I'm notorious for doing that. So Ludlam. So last name Ludlam. All right. And he also has a YouTube channel, Buy Low, Sell High. That's a perfect name for a resale channel, right? Because that's what you want to do. So Buy Low, Sell High. And you can actually watch this video of his hustle of the week. So check him out on YouTube, Buy Low, Sell High. So he went to a moving sale. And at this moving sale, he picked up 3 full medium Home Depot boxes of model car dealership promo. So they're these cars, they're basically like the cars of the dealership. And he got over 30 of them for $100. Now, on this video, it's a major haul. Like they fill up a whole truck of stuff. This is just one part of it. So I would go check it out. So got over 30 of them for $100. And he's been selling each of them for $50 to $60 plus shipping.
Yeah, you sell 2 and you are in the green. You got 28 left.
Garage sales. What are those?
Oh gosh, I missed.
Did you go this last time?
Oh, there were none.
Okay, all right. We'll leave that for the update episode.
Yeah,
there were none.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
All right. So great job, Anthony. Check out his YouTube page again at Buy Low, Sell High.
All right. The next one comes from Heather. I love that name. It's my wife's name. So great name, Heather. Instagram handle at Cosmic Deal Hunter. Picked up a discontinued Mountain Dew at a grocery outlet for 50 cents. And we've talked about this, right? We've talked in the past about discontinued cereals, discontinued, and sometimes they're worth money. So the specific one was a Mountain Dew Black Label. It was a 16-ounce can and sold it on eBay for $39.99. And this is the kind of stuff that like collectors, are after certain things. And once they're gone, they're gone. And the only place to get them is on eBay. And this person was not buying it to drink it. They've got a collection, right? And so if you're at stores, especially I think grocery outlet and stores like that, if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of like the Ross of a grocery store, right? It's like the kind of the overspill of stuff of things. So you never know what you're going to find. It's always different every time you go in. And you might be able to find items that are going to be discontinued or have been discontinued. And that might be where the money is. So great job. And I'm surprised you didn't read this one because you are a Mountain Dew fanatic.
I thought I'd leave it to you. And we got 4 this time, by the way. I thought I'd throw in one more. But here's the thing. I DM'd Heather because I said, hey, I think if we both went to a thrift store, we'd walk out with completely different items. Right. And that's what I love about reselling is that you can go and you can have some people that just pick up completely different items than you pick up. And you never know. And her page is solid. I mean, the stuff that she has on here, she just sold like a Bratz doll that she paid 50 cents for. And she sold it. Let me see real quick. She sold it for $70. Right. That could be another. Oh, Monster High. It's a Monster High doll. That could be another hustle week. So yeah, just filled with these stuff. She jokes about Mountain Dew investing, like keeping old cans from the past. And because she has one in October, she did the same thing. So shout out to you, Heather. Thank you for sharing. Check out our page. There's some legit stuff. All right. So I threw in one more because I don't know. I lost track of how many I was throwing in here. So we'll put this in here. So Nick, not long time, I think maybe long time listener to the show, IG handle _ Vintage. That's a sweet name, by the way. All right, so went to the thrift store later in the day and came across a sealed solitaire handheld game for $8. Listed and sold the Radica big screen handheld solitaire game, and it sold at the highest price on eBay for $105.
Nice.
That is crazy. Now, here's the thing: these solitaire games are still money. Now, here's my thing too. Maybe he checked on Amazon, but I was looking at this and I'm like, I wonder if he checked how much the price was on Amazon, because I have a story too, where I had picked up one for $4 and I sold it. No lie. I sold it. No cap, as the kids say, on Amazon for $270 back in the day. That is crazy. But I'm looking here. So here's my thought. Either one, Nick, you sold it at that full price because, yours was clean and it was one of many, or somebody had picked it up, because I'm trying to see if they have the exact model here, or they did some kind of sourcing and then they flipped it on Amazon for like another $30, $40, right? So check out both platforms, but nonetheless, Nick, $8 into $105, genius, right? And he said, I went later in the day and I didn't think I was going to find anything. Again, you just never know what people are passing up. So thank you so much. Nick also has a lot of great hustle of the week on his page, _ Vintage on Instagram.
Yeah.
All right. What is your hustle of the week?
So I was at a thrift store a while back and they had some golf balls, and the golf balls were, you know how golf balls, when you buy them at the store, like you're buying a set of golf balls, they're usually like sold, I think, on like 36, I think is the number. Okay. And it's a box, and inside of each box are little boxes that have like 3 golf balls in them. Right. Okay. Like it's typically how that works. And that way you can take like a box or two to the golfing range with you, or to the golf course with you, and you're not taking like a whole bunch, and they're neatly in a small little box. And for whatever reason, these golf balls were at the thrift store in their boxes new, but instead of like the 36 pack of golf balls together, they were broken up into sets of 2. So it was like 6 golf balls, 2 boxes sealed, but like taped together. And they were selling them for, I think, $2.99. So $3 for 6 golf balls. And I realized that these sell better in a pack of 36. So I bought 36 of them and I took pictures of them all together, and I just sold them for, I think it was a little bit over $75, something like that with shipping. And so, it's one of those things where it'd be tough to do the math off the top of my head, but I think it's a total of six things that I paid for, because there's 6 in each, 6 and 6. Yeah. So I paid 6 times 3. So, it wasn't a huge thing, but it was one of those where if I would have just bought like, I'm just going to buy one of these for $3, $2.99, and I'm going to try and sell this one pack of 2 or separate them into 3s, I wouldn't have made as much. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes you take a box of 36 golf balls, I'm just using that as an example, and you break it down, you sell the individual boxes inside, and you make way more. So it really depends on the item, and it just goes to show you have to do the research. Sometimes it's better to break items up. Sometimes it's better to lot items together. And in this situation, it worked for me with this specific brand of golf ball to lot them together. But the thrift store didn't know that, right? Like they probably could have sold them. And I'm just glad nobody came in and bought. In fact, I think there was actually some other boxes left over, and it wasn't enough to put a 36 box together. So I'm just glad that people didn't buy more of them and leave it where I could only get like 24.
Oh, yeah.
Because then I wouldn't be able to lot them together. So I'm glad that that there was enough of them for me to put together a full box of golf balls on that.
Lotting is nice.
Yep.
So, and sometimes it allows you to move inventory faster.
Yeah.
So my hustle of the week is kind of like a threefold hustle of the week. So I've mentioned before bomber jackets and the fact that bomber jackets are a bolo, and I think they're a strong bolo right now. But I'm finding that anything that is, so there's 2 kinds of materials for like collars on bomber jackets or on Carhartt jackets. So there's Sherpa and there's shearling. So Sherpa is the really clean wool kind of, sheep kind of look. And shearling looks kind of dirty. It's not as like super nice pattern because it's real, right? Sherpa isn't real. And so what I've noticed lately is that people are wanting to buy these things. So I just wanted to throw 2 hustle of the week because I waited a little bit for these items, but man, they are selling well. So one is I sold an LL Bean. I shared this on Instagram last week, bomber jacket. And I'm telling you, they are so undervalued. People are selling these things for 80 to 100. You may be able to do some eBay arbitrage, but I paid 20 for one and I sold it for $234. And the guy was ecstatic about finding it because it was clean. It was exactly what they're looking for. Left me nice feedback. And again, it was an LL Bean. So that was nice because I knew that these were going to be worth money. And I bought a bunch of these a few months ago. And I think now as things are kind of getting back to normal, I think people are more willing to buy things like that. Now, here's my hustle of the week. So I'm a big fan of Carhartt. And I think Carhartt's another bolo that we shared. And Carhartt, whether it's clean or whether it's messed up, Carhartt will sell. Actually, I've just been selling Carhartt items. And so I had run across this vintage Carhartt jacket. Like it was from the 60s. You can tell by the way the logo is. In case you're wondering, there's this website called vintageguild.org. And let me make sure I give you the right. It's Vintage Fashion Guild. And on there's a thing called Label Resource. So you can go to the Label Resource and it's all by alphabetical order, and you can find different tags for different items, right? So on here, they don't have Carhartt, but I'm just throwing it out there because I thought this is where I looked it up. I think I looked it up somewhere else. But anyways, go to fashionguild.org. There's a lot of great resources for there, just not for Carhartt. Unless right now that in the middle of the podcast, I can't find what I'm looking for. But anyways, I knew it was an old tag. I knew it was worth money. I knew that no one had this jacket at all. paid $20 and I listed it for $300. It was on sale and I sold it for $212 plus shipping. Like no best offer, nothing. And again, when you know your stuff, and the reason I'm sharing this is because over time you begin to learn things. And for me, like Carhartt is one of those things that I really know well. I can tell which vintage is going to sell for more. I've even sold Carhartt jackets with broken zippers at over $100 and only paid $20. So my hustle of the week, I was happy that it sold. I had it sitting for a while, but I knew it was worth a lot. And this thing was stained. It wasn't clean either. And maybe somebody's going to put it in the wash or take it to dry cleaner to get the stains out. But again, learn those niches because that's going to definitely help you later on get more money on items. That's my hustle of the week.
I like it.
All right, let's get back to our topic. All right, so this one's I like how he titled this part. If your store is dead, do what eBay says.
Yeah. Don't be a rebel.
Don't be. But here's the thing. There's two options when it comes to eBay. You can complain all day on forums and talk about how eBay's throttling your items, how you're not making money, how it's not like they used to be. Things have changed. Or you can go, you know what? This is the way eBay wants things now. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to make things happen. And I'm going to get those sales to happen, right? You have those options. And I see a lot of people. I mean, I see it all the time. I go to garage sales and I'll see somebody with nice inventory. I'm like, hey, why are you selling all this? This is quality stuff. They're like, oh, I'm done with eBay. Feebay. Like they want me to do this. I was out. Once they wanted me to do this to be a top rated seller, I was gone. But here's the thing. eBay wants to continue making profit, right? eBay's not going to do things that are gonna hurt their business and hurt sellers in the overall. Now,
yeah, it kind of reminds me of I imagine somebody saying, you know what? I don't understand why I should have to download this app called Venmo. I remember the days when I used to be able to just write a check to somebody. That's it. I'm done with it all. If I can't just write checks to people, Venmo, right? Like sometimes you got to move with the time and realize things change. Sometimes things get better, right? And maybe there's growing pains, and that part can be where it's rough, right? Where they're changing from one thing to another and they want a certain type of background or certain, like right now, the item specifics, that's brutal, right? But we might look back 5 years from now and say, thank goodness, right? Like if we didn't have these, we'd be
we're going to talk about these in a moment.
Yeah.
I think they were a game changer, but
yeah. So yeah, you do need to kind of go with the times. And there's certain things like, how your titles look like. You can even see people who you could tell they've been on eBay for a long time because they still have like the flashy things
HTML. Do you still see those? It's
occasionally, and or like the listings that it's almost like a pre-made PDF giant JPEG with all these stuff. Yes. Sometimes it's beneficial.
And not throwing shade at anybody that listens that still has those.
No, in fact, I use those a lot when it's like I'm buying certain things that require that, right? Like I'm buying, I don't know, like Magic the Gathering cards, and it's like a lot thing, and it's like they have a clear, you could tell this is a company that sells lots of them because they have policies and it's all set up in there and it looks good. But if I'm just buying like a random pair of shoes or a random, I don't buy used shoes very often, but like if I'm buying like a random something, movies, I don't need all that stuff, right? Like just simple, it's probably easier.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say about this is that eBay has been very big about no more HTML, no more long listings. It's keep it short, right? So, very, very basic. I mean, especially if it's new, right? They want everything in the item specifics. They don't want it in the description. So if it's a new item, the basics that it should be on there is new and sealed. That's it. Like it doesn't need to have any more because everything else, your shipping policy, your tax policy, your item specifics, that takes care of everything else. And what I'm seeing still is, and again, let me know if I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. Is there are people that literally like had a lawyer draft up everything that, what entails buying stuff from them. So it's like, we will only accept these kind of returns. We only ship here. You'll be charged a restocking fee. This better be in this best condition. I've been on eBay for this long. I sell them all. And it's like, I don't care about any of that. I just want to buy what's in front of me. Just tell me the condition. And it's all I need to know. Right. And I understand we all want to protect ourselves. We all want to make sure that, somebody isn't trying to scam us. But that's what the business policies are. That's why eBay created business policies so people can see those up front. So keep it short. We already talked about the white background. And we already talked about offering best offer. But again, anytime eBay switches things up, anytime eBay says, hey, this is the way we want it, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to say 90% of the time, if you want more sales, like managed payments, I do believe that managed payments made a difference in getting more sales. Some might disagree, but I did see an uptick once I went from PayPal to managed payments. The weird thing is that not everybody's managed payments still. We've been talking about this for almost a year now, and it was mandatory. So, all right. Being a top-rated seller.
Yeah, and honestly, unless I'm way off, I feel like it was relatively easy to become a top-rated seller. Like I didn't really try to do anything special. I sold things, and I feel like I did a pretty decent job, and I was a top-rated seller pretty quickly.
So it's not that it does take a little bit of time, right? So here, I'll read it real quick, and I'll talk about why it's important. So an eBay account that's been active for at least 90 days, right? Okay, so you got to wait
3 month minimum,
3 months, 100 or more transactions, and $1,000 in sales during the past 12 months with U.S. buyers.
Yeah.
So
if you're not doing $1,000 in sales in 12 months, probably you're not worried about being top-rated seller anyways.
Yeah. But if you want your eBay to come back to life, you need to make it happen. Wait, that means it's still dead? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean,
$1,000 in sales
in 12 months.
Yeah. A defect rate that's less than equal to 0.5%. Cases closed without seller resolution. I talked about that before, less than 0.3. Late shipment, less than 3%. Tracking uploaded within your stated handling time and carrier validation for 95% of transaction to U.S. buyers. So, you may hear influencers on YouTube all the time saying top-rated seller isn't a big deal. You may hear somebody says, I don't care. I was below standard. I'm going to tell you, as somebody that has sold on eBay for now going 10 years, now full-time 5 years, being a top-rated seller does push you up in the search. Whenever I'm trying to buy stuff, I go on there and sure enough, the badges. Now, I'm not saying the badges are the end all, right? If you don't have a badge, but you have an item somebody wants, they're going to buy it. But eBay has been very big about the fact that, if you're a top-rated seller, that means you have a good track record. That means you're great about customer service. That means you ship things out on time. That means that you're willing to work, and make sure that cases don't open. That means you're constantly selling stuff. So what does that mean? eBay is going to want to push the best, quote unquote, top-rated sellers higher in the search. So I do believe this should be a priority if you want to have more sales, especially if your eBay store is dead. If you want to get it cranking and running and make things happen, being a top-rated seller is super important.
And it's not too bad. I mean, 90 days if you're just starting a store and sell at least $1,000 worth of items and do a good job, right? Don't sell things that end up having issues. Make sure you resolve problems with the customers and get your stuff sent out on time.
Now, you can take it a step further and have your item be a top-rated seller plus. And so the way you do that is if you ship within the same day or 1 day handling and a 30-day or longer free return period with the money back option, right? So they say here you can choose top rated plus seal and you also get 10% value fees, but that's not as important, I think, as getting your stuff higher in the search. So you can be a top rated seller and not offer free returns, or you could be a top rated seller plus and offer free returns.
Well, but the thing is that's per item. Right.
Correct. Per item. Yeah.
So so not everything needs to be top rated plus. If you're a top rated seller, you can kind of choose which items.
Yeah. Like that heater that I had to lose $100 on shipping. I probably shouldn't have made that plus. I just never thought I'd have somebody asking for a return on it. So, all right. And then the last thing is, I think right now, people are getting hit with the item specifics. Now, there's two of them. Okay. So there's the required that are due by February 22nd. So those are non-negotiable. I mean, eBay has said if you don't take care of these, that they are going to, I think they said, not allow you to have these items listed. So let me read what eBay said directly on this. Now, the other one is the recommended. The recommended is basically, hey, here's a good idea. Here's something you should take a look at because, this might help you sell because people are looking for certain items. So let me go. See, I should have just had this up before. But anyways, they have discussed the idea that if this is not done, it's not going to be a good thing. At first, they went from encourage, and then they went to you should be doing this. And so I'm trying to find this.
That's all right.
Well, where are you at on doing this though? Are you?
So we finished the required a long time ago. And we're at the place now where we recognize, we probably should get on these recommended because our store is slow, and there seems to be a lot of hype that it could be this. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that eBay's like, ooh, Mike and Heather, they've got some items that they haven't put in the recommended yet. We're going to punish them. But if our competitors have put the recommended in, then they might just be getting a little bit higher up in the search, and that might be helping them and hurting us. So in order to stay competitive, we're going to have to do it. So we're going to break it down into, 10 or so a day and just crank them out.
Yeah. And so, but make sure it's done, because the issue will be is if your items aren't done, they actually, especially for new items, they're not going to let you list them until you get it done anyways. All right. But here's my experience. So at first I was kind of like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I got my items out. But then what I noticed was things started slowing down. Right. And I think some of you can attest to this idea that once you put in all your required item specifics, you began to get more sales. Not a ton more, but you didn't see the slowdown like you did before. So some of you may say, hey, Orlando, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be fine. But I truly believe if it's required, and they said it, it's not on their page anymore. But they had a thing here, like if you don't take care of it, you will not be able to list more items until you resolve that issue. Okay, now let's talk about the recommended. So recommended is what they're telling you, hey, if you want to make sure that people are finding your items, faster, then it's important that you get these items, with these recommended. And so some of them are kind of obnoxious. I talked about this on the last podcast. Like I had boots and it was like character. And I'm like, Blue's Clues, or like what kind of character am I supposed to put on here? But the key thing is I have noticed. So I'll talk about this for a moment here. So I talked about my sales being dead after eBay. And so what happened is that I had 1,800 and I believe like 50 items that did not have the recommended. They all had the required, but they did not have the recommended. Now, I can't say this is, exactly what ended up happening, but I took the time and I used the spreadsheets in our YouTube video. And on the spreadsheet, I was able to change a lot of them. Now, I will tell you, I did put filler things. So on some of the silly ones, I just put see description or I put see pictures, but I had a recommended item specific on there. On other ones that didn't make sense, I just put unknown.
Yeah, I don't know if I recommend that at all.
I'm not saying do that. That's what I did. Because what are you supposed to put? Right? I'm not saying this isn't, I'm not saying this is the end all. I'm just saying this is what I did. Okay. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I will tell you this. When I got down those 1,800 and whatever, I'm down to like 137 now, huge uptick in sales. I mean, it was back to like Q4 numbers for a week. And I don't know if it pushed all my items up in the search. I don't know if maybe it's because, the talk of the stimulus check people were buying. I can't tell you for sure what it was, but I will tell you when you do those things that eBay recommends you do, they will help you out in sales. So I know we don't have to, there's a disclaimer. We do not recommend this. Orlando's just documenting what he did. Let's play it safe. But I'm telling you, I did that, and I do believe it played a part in me being able to get more sales and revive my dead store. And now I'm back to normal. I'm probably back to about almost Q4 numbers on a daily basis. And so things have been good. And again, I didn't apply everything on here because some of the things I was already doing, but I will say fixing not the items required, but the items recommended definitely, I believe, help my store get more sales.
I like it.
So anything you want to add here? Anything you want to close on here?
No. Do what we said, and you will breathe life into your store.
Possibly, based on what we just said. We don't recommend all of it.
Or you'll do all this, and it may not work, and you just have to adapt and figure out what it is. But I think this will get you probably 85% of the way there, and that's pretty good odds, if you ask me.
Well, there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Late.
Peace.